What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the next iteration in this Davinci Resolve tutorial. Today I have a very exciting course for you guys, mainly because this is something that you guys have been asking for, some advanced text animation, motion graphics, and really just anything that you can think of. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you can do animation with text and really add some character to your edits. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the software and get into the lesson. So now here we are. We have opened up Davinci Resolve, and I think the best way to learn animation is really with text. So let's go ahead and get text real quick, and anything that we apply to this text can be applied to any video clip and any object that you bring into Davinci Resolve. So we're going to go ahead and hit titles, and then we're going to go over to text plus. So let's go ahead and drag this into a timeline here, and here we have a blank new timeline. Let's just call this animation over here, and voila, we have text. Okay, now the first animation thing that I'm going to show you guys with text, we're going to start simple and then we're going to advance into more complicated stuff. Okay, but the main thing that you may want to do, and this one's actually really cool, is maybe you want to have things just float, right? Have you ever seen something kind of swiveling and it kind of seems alive and it just kind of floats around? Well, you can do that with something called the camera shake. So if you go over to the left hand side and you go over to open FX, and then let's go ahead and type in camera shake. Here it is. You can actually take this, drag it onto your text, and now if we hit play on our timeline, watch what the text does. So you can see it's bouncing around, right? Now obviously you may not want it to bounce around that quickly, but you can go over here to motion scale under effects and open FX, and you can actually scale this down. So maybe the scale is like how extreme the animation goes, and then you can also do the speed of that. So how fast does it go in between that scale, and then you can add motion blur and so on and so forth. So now if we hit play, now you can see you get like a nice smooth small animation there. Okay, so that's the first one. So it's pretty easy, right? Let's get into some more. So actually there's another thing you can do. So while it's floating, maybe you want this to kind of like slide in or something like that, maybe kind of appear. Well, you can do that with over here where it says video transitions. Yes, you can apply transitions to text and other things for animation. So let's go down now to the push. Push is one of the main ones that I use. We're going to drag and drop that onto here, and now you can see it's now going to push in, and it now floats as well like we put earlier. Now you can make that push a little bit more smoother, so to speak, by clicking right onto it, by getting this little icon on the edge of it. If you click on it, now you'll see that transition right over here, and then you can go over to ease in or ease and then go to in and out, and now you'll notice that the curve, if you scroll in by holding Alt and scroll on the mouse wheel, you'll see that now this curve right here, you guys see this right here, see how it now becomes a curve, but if I change this back to none, it becomes flat. Okay, begin in and out, and now you'll see that it will kind of swivel in much smoother. Okay, so that is the push and using the in and out to create easing. And you can also add motion blur, and it will definitely make this a little bit more interesting. So you can see how it was blurred on the way in, as you can see if we go frame by frame. So that's pretty much how you can do stuff like that. All right, there's more. All right, so now that we have that pushed in, what if you wanted your text to, let's say, like glitchy, like you want it to kind of be all chopped up? Well, you can go over to generators, and actually I think it's under effects, and then you can add something called digital glitch. So you can drag and drop this onto your text, and then you'll see now it's already applying it. You can see how it's kind of glitching out that text. So if we hit play, and it might not be able to play because there's a lot of animation going on here and it's floating around and it's glitching. Okay, so that is another use case for the digital glitch and another animation thing. And of course you can always click on the text, you can go over to inspector, go over to effects right here, click on it, click on the camera shake right next to it in this empty space, and it will actually close it up. But then you go over to the fusion portion, and then you can see that this is actually a fusion composition, and you can actually open that up by clicking on this button here, and you can actually see exactly what it's doing by double clicking, and you can really see how much is going on with this. Okay, so you will get a full introduction to fusion here in the very near future. I plan to make an entire video and probably a whole series on fusion, but I know this probably looks like Chinese to you guys, but just keep in mind that all of this is what makes that look, and we'll get into these different things later down the road, but just know that this is how the effect kind of works in animation. It actually uses something called displacement, which is how it displaces the text in different places, and it has a Boolean value here that kind of creates a algorithm, or kind of like a looping iteration thing to keep making it flicker. Okay, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But I just want to give you a quick introduction to how this is working and to fusion here. But I can't wait to get into that a little bit more. Let's go ahead and go back to our edit page, and we're going to keep this really simple. Another animation thing, let's actually turn off that digital glitch, because it really does create a lot of performance issues. So we're going to delete that. And then what we're going to do is, let's say for example, this one's going to be kind of hard to see on a black screen. So let's actually move this up, and let's bring in a generator. Let's bring in a solid color. And let's bring in the white and turn this to color. We're going to click white, boom, click on the text here. We're going to change the color of this. We're going to change that to now black. All right, so now we can actually see, boom, it appears, and now it's floating. Very good. What if we wanted the text to be animated in the middle? Of course, my cat walks across the screen while I'm trying to teach you guys. But let's say, for example, the text was to, animate halfway in. Like, what if you wanted to appear in a certain way? Well, you can click on it, and then you can go over here to where it says settings for the text, and not title, but the settings, and you can actually change the crop. So let's say for example it was like this, and you hit the keyframe now, and then you want it to appear maybe like right here, and then you'll remove it, you'll make that change, and now you'll come over here and hit play, and then you'll see it appears in that way. All right, now you notice that it just kind of did it really quickly. You remember how we talked about easing in and easing out earlier? Well, there's actually a way to ease in and ease out on an animation with your keyframes. Let me go ahead and show you guys that, okay? So here we are back in the beginning. So if you hit this, okay, and you hit this little diamond icon on the text like we did earlier, you can see your keyframes. But you can't really see that curve that you saw like on that transition. So the way you can see that is by going over to this little curves icon right here, and you can click on that, and what do you know? We can now see the curve of this. Okay, excuse me guys, I had some crackers. So now you can click on this node here, keyframe, and you can actually create a curve. And voila, now you can see that it kind of does that curve. So now if we hit play, you can see that it does it at a curve now. And if you undo that, if you click on this one, you can also change it to a more of a curvy. Now it should kind of slowly, there you go, and you can do this one too and make this one a little more curvy, right? And now you get both of those, boom. Okay, so those are different types of sine or curve types. You can even do actually, if you click on this and you click on that, you can kind of create a more of a bend this way. So you guys can play around with this, but just know that you are changing your keyframes animation, and you can also click on this little hand here and really make this be however you want. You guys see that? Okay, so that is that, and now you can hit play, and now you can see it immediately does it really quickly. Okay, so that is how you can get a little bit more granular with your animations, and that can be applied with any keyframe that you do on the sides here. Okay, all right, there's a lot more. Hang tight here. So let's go ahead and delete these keyframes by clicking on them, and we're gonna hit backspace. We're gonna click on this one, and we're gonna hit backspace, and now you can see our keyframes are back to the way it was. And let's go ahead and move this to the beginning and set our text back to normal. Now you hit play, and it does not change anymore. Okay, remember I told you you can do a lot with things in the text, or I mentioned there's something here in the titles. Well, you can do a lot of things, like you can go over to the way it's laid out. So you can go its layout right here, and you can even animate some of this, right? You can animate the size of it, make it zoom, so on and so forth. So you can hit a keyframe, here, and you can type press at this point, you want it to be small, and then when it gets to about right here, you want this to be really, really, really big, right? Something kind of like that. So you can hit play and boom, look at that. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. You can even change not the perspective, actually the center Z, which is a cool one. So you can kind of click on this here, and you can actually start at the very beginning. Let's go ahead and remove our keyframes by clicking on the keyframe icon here. Actually, it's just one keyframe, so we'll just click on that one. That's why it doesn't appear. So you can actually click on this, and you can go over to your Z, hit a keyframe right here. Let's say right here you want it now to appear, and you want it to come the other direction. Boom, right? And of course, again, you guys know that you can actually change the curve of this as well. You can actually go over here and click on the fusion, because these are technically fusion compositions, and you can go ahead and click on it, and it will take you into the fusion page. Now don't fret, again, this one's not as bad, but if you click into your middle mouse button, you can actually get this little hand, and you can move this around, okay, down in here. And if you click on this template, okay, then you can go over here to the top right corner, and then you can do something called the spline editor and keyframes. Okay, so let's just stick with the spline editor for right now. And if you click on your layer center, so you see how this right here, your center Z, your layout center Z right here, so that corresponds to layout center Z right here. And if you click on it, well, what do you know, we are somewhere very, very familiar. And then you can actually move your playhead back to here, and then you can actually play around with these different keyframes. And again, you got this little thing where you can make it curve, just like you are familiar with in the editing page. And now you'll see that it will be more of a smoother transition. So this is how you can pretty much do some animations. Again, this is a little bit of some fusion. I know this might be a little intimidating for you guys, but just trust me, it's not that bad once you get familiar with all this stuff. Okay, things only live in two places. They either live in the edit page or they live in the fusion page. And the reason how you'll know is because you'll see that little fusion icon in the top right corner, which I'll show you right here. Check this out. Okay, so if you're in the editing page and you're not sure if it's something that you can edit in the fusion page, you'll notice this little fusion little wand looking icon right here. Okay, back to square one again. It's just floating around. But let's say, for example, you wanted this to write, like type out. Well, you can go over to your title here, and on the right hand side you'll look for something that says write on, which is right here, and you'll bring this to 0 because you don't want this to be written on already, right? You want it to write on. So click on the keyframe icon, and then maybe you want it to be finished writing on right here. Now you'll just turn your write on all the way back up, and you'll see that the write on over here will go from point A to point B, and you'll see as it does that, it starts to write out your animation. Okay, so there you have it. Now again, if you wanted to have a curve and like a smooth curve, again, if you go up to the top right corner, go ahead and click on your wand here, go ahead and click on your spline editor, and then you can go to your write on start and write on end, and you can change these curves to or these points to curves if you would like such. Click on the second one, that's your write on end, and click on the curve like such. Okay, and you can get a more smoother looking curve. And let's go ahead and play that. So let's go ahead and move our playhead back here, and you can see that it kind of does it at a curve now. All right, so I just threw a ton at you guys, and I definitely don't want to overwhelm you, but I just wanted to show you that there's so much you can do with those different effects, and also different generators, or I should say open FX, also with fusion, and also with those curves and keyframes. And man, I just threw everything at you guys because I know you guys have been really asking about it. And that's pretty much about mostly everything with motion graphics. There is a few there's actually a lot more in the fusion tab, but when we get into down in here with fusion and extras, I do plan to get more into more advanced animation stuff. But that is pretty much the bread and butter right there with those curves and the splines. You know, that curve, that's really where you get into making some really, really nice animations. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all take care. See ya.